afternoon, everybody, and welcome in to the Maize and Blue Reviews. Good afternoon, Michigan football. Michigan, Ohio State week, and right now it is on. You know, things are looking great and feeling great as far as Michigan football goes. It is one of those weeks after everything since Saturday. Things are looking brighter. Things are sounding great. I was down in Ann Arbor and I came out of a building and I was like, smelled like tailgate. Already it already had me towards Saturday, and it's just it's out of sight. The anticipation of Saturday. Now, Jim Scarcelli, the former Michigan Wolverine, he is with us. He is just backstage. He's just loading up some of his film, and we're going to get some Ohio State film. We're going to get some Michigan, Maryland film. That's coming up straight ahead. Back from Ann Arbor, Sharon Moore. Sharon Moore was good. Sharon Moore is solid. He was up there pretty fired up, talking about Michigan and what they need to do for this game. And, he is talking about this rivalry being unexplainable, an aura, nothing like it. And I think that resonated for every Michigan fan that will hear that, see that, read that anywhere they are at. But, he said this team, he wants these guys to be unbreakable. They're resetting the clock, getting ready to go. And as far as some of the players that may or may not be available, Rod Moore, unfortunately, is out and likely out for the rest of the season. That's some unfortunate news. Hausman, he labeled as day-to-day, and Samaj Morgan, okay, I think is what he said about Samaj. And then Max Bredesen, the MRI didn't look good, but he added if anyone could fight through it and play, it would be Max Bredesen. So that's where you're at least from what Sharon Moore had to say today. And you know how it works this week. That's more than I think. It's more than I expected. Rod Moore is going to be out, but I expected him to say, well, we'll see. But, he didn't. So he let that one out. I liked, Gio Al-Hadi was up there talking about that he didn't like Ohio State. And he said it was like fighting a sibling. And he said 2021 was like a movie. That was his favorite game. And then, Marlon Klein laid, I thought, the quote of the day when he was asked about Ohio State's defense and Matt Patricia as their coordinator. And he said something along the lines of Matty P's teams don't do well in Michigan. And I think there are a lot of people, they get a little chuckle out of that. He also said that last year down in Columbus, beating Ohio State was the greatest day of his life. Now, he's a young guy. And he then added that if he would win this upcoming Saturday, being a senior and everything, that would top last year as the greatest day of his life. So that's where it is. They want to be unbreakable when it comes to OSU. And that's what everybody's thinking about. John is thinking about 5 in a row. Toby's ready to go. 23 Sales is also ready. Smart, ball control, fundamentals, controlled aggression. I'm with all of that. And listening while doing some housework and painting. Paint a mural up there, Teddy, of Blake Corum, or maybe this week of Jordan Marshall going for 300 yards, something like that. Good to see John. And this was, we got a change of name here. We'll see. Ready for Ohio State. Well, let's get to Scar, who I mentioned is here. We just have to add him. So let's do that now. We can get him in here. Let's do And here he is, Scar. Great to see you. How are you this Monday?
Great weekend, Danny. Michigan wins. Coming out, we couldn't be in a better situation. The Lions win. We got a great week of football coming up, man. Are you kidding me? We got Lions on Thursday. We got good high school state championships. You got Iowa and Nebraska on Friday, and you got all the rivalry games on Saturday, and more state championship games on Sunday. And I'm really liking where we are, where Michigan is as a team, man.
Yeah, and we're ready to talk about Michigan and what they have in store for Ohio State on Saturday. We also will look back to this past Saturday and Michigan's win over Maryland on the East Coast, 45-20. The always informative and entertaining film analysis from Jim Scarcelli will take place in a few minutes. But let's look right to Saturday. You mentioned it. This is a great week. Everything's great. You got basketball playing for the next couple days and Thanksgiving, games all over the place. Dexter's headed to Ford Field. That's where I live. And everybody's excited out here. But really, it's setting the stage for noon at the Big House with Ohio State coming in. Scar, let's just cut right to it. What kind of chance to give Michigan to win 5 in a row over
really
Ohio
good,
State?
Denny, really good chance, man. I mean, listen, I look at Ohio State, and what's their best win? At Illinois? That's their best win. Okay, they beat them pretty good. They went to Washington and won, and they've looked impressive. But, our best win is at Nebraska, at Wrigley. But, Look, I look at them on film, and I've watched a lot of their games, and they appear to be good on defense. They got some good players, and the two big superstar receivers were not out. They did not play last week, and you get a hamstring, man. I've had a hamstring. That ain't fixed up in a week. So we'll see if they're how productive they are. The quarterback is good, Danny. Their quarterback is. People might think I'm crazy. I think this is the best quarterback they've had since Troy Smith. This is the last guy I would want to defend because he's a laser beam accurate and he can run. Now, Strode was accurate, but he couldn't run. The kid last year could run, but he wasn't laser beam accurate. And then you Barrett and all the other. Anyway, this kid is good. He is. But listen, it's a winnable football game, man. Crowd's got to be loud and nasty. All I want from our offense is one thing, Denny: secure the freaking ball, because we'll move it. We will move the football on them, and we're going to defend them. Wink's going to have something for them, and we match up good with them, man.
Match up good in terms of Michigan being able to run the ball, their offensive line, or
I think we match up. I think we match up good defensively. I think I don't know that their run game is all that good. You got to make them. We know the damn blueprint, Danny. We know the blueprint, and it ain't going to change. You got to stuff their run game defensively. You got to stuff their run, and neutralize it to an extent. That's what we've done the last 4 years. We didn't totally shut it down, but we've neutralized it. Okay, you got to be great in the red zone. Give them no bombs. Okay, so slow down that run game. Nothing easy. Make them work down the field. No bombs, and be great in the red zone. No bombs. Be great in the red zone. You got to tackle in space. I've said the same damn blueprint defensively. We have to be great tackling in space so that they don't get those explosive plays. When they throw it out there to this kid, all right, tackle him for 8 yards. Tackle him for whatever. So that's my big blueprint on defense. We've done a good job of slowing that run game down the last 4 years. Tackling in space, be great in the red zone, and no bombs, man. And Wink will have we've disguised. We did some things. We created turnovers last year, but that's the blueprint defensively, and then offensively. I couldn't be happier if I was coaching, I would be really, really feeling like perfect. We come out of Northwestern, people question us. Northwestern's a damn good football team. And I'm not so sure Ohio State's offensive line is all that much better than Northwestern's. That was a good offensive line. Ohio State's offensive line, okay. But offensively, we just did some good. I don't know how good Maryland is. We'll look at the film. I don't know how that guy keeps his job, to be honest with you. They look like they don't play real hard. They don't play very smart at many times on defense. But if we just secure the ball, Bryce will make plays. Chip showed a sign of some things that really give you problems offensively. And we'll look at the film, and he's doing some good things. He's starting to we ran Bryce quite a bit. And the fact that we run Bryce, predetermined runs with Bryce, you'll see how much it just subtly opens up all the run games and all the pass games when you have a quarterback that you will have him keep the ball off the RPO stuff. So you're seeing it, and there ain't no damn tomorrow for Michigan in this game, so we're not going to care about running our quarterback. And I really think it might help us. Look, they're in the playoff either way. Ohio State's in the playoff, win or lose. Michigan loses, we're done. We still, and don't fool yourself, Danny. Washington could beat Oregon at home. We beat Ohio State. We're going to the Big Ten championship game. Or if Washington is tough at home, man. That's a tough place to play. Oregon came off a highly emotional game at home against USC. So that could happen for us, man. Washington's got that little quarterback. Anyway, they could win that game. But we can't, we ain't playing for, the future. We got to run our damn quarterback. And I think you're going to let it rip in this football game. Chip and Sharon got to stay to hell with it. Danny, preparation for this game. It was a fast week as a player. I just remember it flying by. Whatever bumps and bruises, you have bumps and bruises when you're getting ready for Northwestern. You got bumps and bruises when you're getting ready for Maryland. But this week, you don't feel nothing. You don't feel no bumps and bruises in practice. It goes by quick. And these guys are going to, it's an emotional week for the guys that are going to play their last game. It really is hard mentally. You're dealing with, man, this is the last time I'm going to run out of that tunnel for guys like Moore, guys like Barham. And we got a lot of guys that come out of there the last time. Al-Hadi and Bredesen. But listen, we hopefully Sharon, I know Bo used to really shorten up practice. It was a short week. Bo used to put it like this, and the way we looked at this game, he's like, you know what, Bryce, you got to outplay Julian, whatever the hell, what's this, Sayed. You got to be better than him. Moore, you got to be better than their edge guy, whoever the hell that is. Klein, you got to be better than what's that kid, Claire, their tight end. That's how he looked at the top 20. He said, you got to be better than the guy playing for Ohio State at your position. That's how he used to lay it out to us. But I just remember it being a no-talk game. There was no crap talking on the field. It was a, intense, tough, physical game. But it's why you go to Michigan, man. I mean, people say when you're getting recruited and all that, it truly is why you go to Michigan. One of the biggest reasons you go to Michigan to play in this game, go to Ohio State to play in this game. I remember as a 10, 11-year-old kid, Danny, watching this game, that's like a dream for a kid from the state of Michigan, But you remember how back in the day before the internet, they used to put the roster in the Detroit News. In the Free Press, they put the roster of the teams. And I was like, man, there's dudes from Warren. This guy's from Warren. I'm from Warren. This dude's from Sterling Heights. Dan Gillick. I remember, watching those guys. And, you just kind of dream. And then, bam, here you are playing in it. And it's, you got to smack yourself when you run out there and play in that game. Say, wow, this is really happening.
Well, you're hyping me up. I'm ready. Everything that you're saying, I'm right there with you. I'm captivated listening to you talk about it. You're right. It's as far as sports go, this is the very top. Talking about intensity. I really like the idea of Jordan Marshall, an Ohio kid, being able to go out there and what Michigan, you mentioned the last 4 years and what they're able to do. A lot of it was running the ball all the way through from whether it was Haskins, Donovan Edwards, Corum one year. And, last year, how they were able to do it with Mullings making the big run. And then Marshall being the Ohio kid. I love that angle. The last 4 years, I've seen it in reverse where Ohio State for the longest, 16 years, they were in Michigan's head. And when things started going, I think they had the belief, hey, we're going to win this. We win it every year. That's Michigan's got that. I wanted to ask you, do you think Wink, the masterpiece that he put out there last year, so he's got Day and, he's looking at what's going on with the offensive coordinator, but he's got to feel real confident, and the guys have to be real confident in whatever game plan that he comes up with after, he held OSU to 10 points last year.
Vinny, that's BS. When you start thinking, I've been there as a player and a coach, it's the same thing that the players have to prepare. Whatever happened last year is irrelevant. Okay, you're going against another dude, another team. You got to line up and be ready to fight. It doesn't matter what happened last week, last year. It's irrelevant for if I'm playing in this game. It's like, man, I got to be mentally ready to game. And if I played well last year, that's all good and dandy, but it means nothing Saturday. So I've been there as a defensive coach. Yeah, you might have a great scheme one year against the guy. Well, he ain't a dummy. You know what I mean? He's not dumb. Those guys aren't dumb over there. They're going to look at what you did. They're going to work on things. And Wink is going to tweak some things. You can't just throw the same blueprint out there, the same game plan, because you fooled them. We play poker, man. You're going to fool me one time. You're going to do the same thing all the time. But, yeah, there's some pressure. People are going to think that you're going to hold them to 10 points again. I mean, I ain't believing that. That was an unbelievable performance by him and our players. But
I think I believe what you're saying, and they have to focus. But I could look at the last 4 years. I happen to think Day is a little bit of a dummy when it comes to this particular game. I saw what he did last year, and I know we could go through the tape and everything else, but I don't think there's any doubt that he was trying to, we say we're tough, and we're going to run. Oh yeah, you got Mason Graham, you got Kenneth Grant. We'll show you who's tough. That played right into Michigan's hands. I know when they were at home in 2022, I was watching it. He would have a 4th and 1. And if I was an Ohio State fan, I'd said, man, I'm going for this all day long, with the kind of backs and the kind of offense and line, everything you have. I'm going for it, man. He was playing as conservative. He just would limp it. I'll use your poker analogy. He was limping into every pot and folding everything. Unless he got pocket, and nothing to work for him. He reminds me a little bit of John Cooper. He can do all these things and everything, but he gets into this big game and he tightens up. That's what I've seen from him. And I think that Matt Patricia is a dummy. I know that the players don't respect him in the pros. He was not able to lead. Now that was being the head coach, but most of the players thought he was a big punk. And his reputation precedes him, and he's put together, coordinated, done a great job. They're undefeated, but a little bit of adversity in the first quarter against Michigan, and that pencil is going to start wearing down a little bit on his ear, and he's going to tighten up a little bit. And I think that plays into Michigan. Those two things, I think, play to Michigan's advantage in this one.
Danny, we were just listen. I hear people talking about in the mind and this and that, but the years they hammered us for all them years, they were just better. They were bigger, better, tougher. Rich Rod, matching up against what the hell they were doing, and we just had some damn good defenses and some good teams. I don't know how much of it's in the mind, okay, but there might be some of that, but we're gonna see what Patricia does here. I see some flaws. I looked at the Penn State. I got a little Penn State film. If we have time, we can take a little peek. Penn State moved the ball, and there's things we can do. But Denny, you work on this game all year, man. You know, again, when I was playing, I remember we played Northwestern the week before, be like playing Maryland. I remember, you know, in practice, like, what the hell? I don't think Northwestern's running these plays. And then I realized we were putting Ohio State's plays in the week before.
How much do you think they're going to put on Underwood's plate? I mean, you said run them. It's the last game. You got to win this. It seemed like they were letting him get a little loose against Northwestern and take some more chances. We saw some, you know, the good and bad right there. He looked pretty good against Maryland. We'll get more to that, but you know, how much, you know, if you're Chip Lindsey,
Benny, we're game 12, man. You don't hold nothing back. This kid has started 11 games. We ain't holding nothing back. We run what we run. Whatever Patricia's given us, we're going to take. If he's overcommitting here to stop this, then we're going to try to make him pay. If we got to throw deep, we're going to throw deep. If we're going to throw short, we're going to throw short. If we're going to run our quarterback because he's not honoring it, we're going to run our quarterback. If we're going to whatever the hell we got to do to win, I don't think for 1 second they are hamstringing him and holding him back at all because of whatever the hell's happened these last 11 games. Again, like I said, I would be confident as hell if I'm in that offensive team room and I look at that film and we got these guys coming to Ann Arbor. I'm feeling good if I'm an offensive football player for Michigan based on what we did. You know, even the last two games, we don't turn the damn ball over. We know we're, you know, against the Northwestern, we did some good things, but against Maryland, I mean, we did a lot of good things there.
I was with a group yesterday, a lot of doubting Thomases, and they were throwing questions at me. Let me throw some of them at you. Michigan, have they played a game where all three phases have been sound? Probably not. Can they put together three phases? Can they play their best game against OSU? Can they? What has been the defense is my answer, but offense and special teams, you know, defense has been here. You know, yeah, they've been hit, but can the offense and special teams elevate in this particular game? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, Denny, you don't always know how people are going to play, man. But there's no reason we can't. We've done it. Home crowd has to be great. Get them to have some offsides. Get them to give our players an edge. Just play your best game, Bo. You know, that was the same thing Bo used to say. You got to play your greatest game. You got to play your best football game ever. Everybody got to play their best game and make plays. And is it possible? You're asking me, is it possible? Hell yeah, it's possible that we outplay them in all three phases. There's no reason why we can't. The record, the rankings, it's irrelevant BS. We're a 9-2 team. Listen, we got 2 losses. The way I look at our season, there's like 3 matchup games where I think we're like equal in terms of tradition, money, resources, facility, blah, blah, blah. And that was Oklahoma, USC, and Ohio State. Would you look at it like that? I think we're pretty equal there. You could maybe make the argument for Washington, but you know, look, we lost those 2 games on the road. And so when I look at Sharon Moore, I think you got to listen, man. We haven't lost any games we're supposed to win. You know, we're a 9-2 teams, and that's a sign of a good coach, in my opinion, is the guy that doesn't have the frickin' go out to UCLA and lose with Penn State. You know what I mean? Or lose at home the following week to Northwestern. You know, that's our guy has had us ready to play every week. So your question about can we be great in all 3 games? Absolutely. But you know, we could take a crap in all 3 too. You don't know how guys are going to play. But listen, man, we our special teams was good this past week, man. The guy recovering that onside kick was huge. That was huge play in that game. You know, our kicker wasn't great. We missed a kick. But he did make a big one later in the game. But, you know, his mind has to be right, man.
Yeah, yes, it does. Taylor covering that onside kick. That was just after Maryland took the ball right down the field, scored on their first drive, and then they went. Loxley rolling the dice with the onside kick, and Taylor able to cover it. And then Michigan was able to go down with the short field, go 47 yards, and get Marsh in the end zone to tie that thing up. And they didn't look back. Let's look at this victory. What Michigan had 6 touchdowns and 2 field goals on their first 8 possessions. Underwood did on the second possession. He, threw a little, it was back foot, sidearm, floater over the middle, maybe a little bit against the grain. Should have been a pick six. That was a big drop for the Terps there. But that same series, he hit Bredesen on a third down where the guys were hanging on him, and he kind of did the same thing there. So, good and bad, but I don't know, a little bit lucky there. What are your overall thoughts? I mean, Cusdell comes up as a guy who was a walk-on. They said the broadcast that he had no scholarships offered, Division I, and he comes in and runs for 100 yards and 3 touchdowns for Michigan.
Well, that's why, you always hear me yelling at getting more guys in the game. I always want that, and I don't give a damn if as long as we win. I don't care. I ain't interested in blowing people out. I'm always interested in developing depth because I know how important every rep is for a young guy. And it was good. We got a lot of young guys reps in this game, but it was great that we could win and rest Marshall, and he should be really in good shape that extra week of rest. And we'll have 2 good running backs ready to go. And our quarterback made a lot of plays with his legs. He had a damn good football game. He had one of his best games. Our offensive line, man, we moved dudes. We executed. I thought Chip called a hell of a game. Our tight ends we played a lot of tight ends, and they're all blocking, and we'll throw it to all of them. 4 is the real deal. 1, and Goodwin got in there and he did some things. He'll block like crazy. I'm thinking he's going to be number 3 now. We're going to have to throw it to him because they're going to you can't have guys on the field that are imposters. So it looks like he's going to be number 3. And but offensively, man, I think Maryland. I don't know. Looked like they kind of quit. Maybe we're just getting better. I'll tell you who's getting better is 77, Frazier.
Yeah.
What is this? Like his 5th start now? I always told you I was ready to roll after my 5th start. My 4th or 5th start is when I was really starting to play. So he's starting to do some things. Frazier, 77 in there. And Hoffman got in there and he'll block. He got in there to get when Bredesen went out. And then defensively, Denny, it's good that we had different linebackers ready to go, man. Good to have 23 look a little rusty. He made some mistakes, Sullivan, but it's good to have those 2 guys back. And the freshman played, and then Bowles played, and then the inside guys, they've been doing it all year. The 4 inside guys have been solid. Our edge guys were pretty solid. We played a ton of defensive backs, and some of them make some mistakes. But Wink is thinking about the future too, and he's resting guys. Maybe there's so many things we don't know that the coaches understand. You know what I mean? He might have some defensive backs banged up, just like Marshall. People are yelling, "Why are you playing these young guys? They're throwing the ball over your head, or this, that, or whatever." You know what I mean? And there is some of that, and we don't know what the hell the coaches are dealing with in terms of injuries and problems, and how much are trying to get these guys ready to develop depth. But
what did you tell your defensive coordinator and defensive line coaches when it came to guys jumping off sides? I would imagine they work on hard counts, but they do seem like it could be one of those things. But why does Michigan?
Kenny, it pisses me off because I used to tell my players this, and I know this as a player, that the one thing in the scouting report that you come in on Monday, you get your scout. They used to be able to send guys GAs when I was playing, and they were trying to get the cadence. You know what I mean? Get the cadence of the other team. It's hard to do that with a large. But anyway, early in the game, you got to be a dummy to jump off sides on defense. Okay, because you're at a disadvantage defensively if you're playing at the line of scrimmage. Until you get a feel for the quarterback's communication and cadence. How is he talking? What the hell is he saying? And you got to get a feel for that as a defensive player. So you're a little, you want to anticipate every snap that he's going to snap the ball, every sound that he might snap the football, but you have to be patient until you get a real feel for the cadence. And we jump off sides too damn much. That's just, there's no excuse for that from an older player. You know, you just got to be patient as a defensive player until getting a feel of the cadence.
You know, there's pluses and minuses when you blitz as well. Wink last year, it was a masterpiece. You said you're not looking too much at that one, but I'm assuming that these receivers are all going to be there. How much you're going to leave them out? Sometimes they're going to. I'm sure. I think fans would say they don't want any cover zero. They don't want. So I don't think fans want to see any blitzing unless they get home. But I don't know. I just ask you straight up.
Denny, you got to do. Wink does what he does, and what Wink does is you don't know what the hell he's going to do, Denny. He's inconsistent. That's the best thing. That's the best thing you can do against a guy like Ryan Day. If he has any kind of tendency and bead on what the hell you're doing when you're doing it, then you're in trouble. You know, so I think one of the things that helped us last year was I felt he was trying to get it to number 4 a little more than he forcing it to Smith.
Yeah.
That makes it easier defensively if you know that this guy's, trying to get it to this player and these other guys are more like decoys. And this year, I think Ryan Day has made an effort to really be, when you line up against Ohio State, he's going to throw it to anybody. You know what I mean? And that's harder to defend. Even though you got Super Freak out there, number 4, and I know he's damn good, and I got to give a little more attention to him. But it helped us last year, I think. Wink was really zeroing in on him and Ryan Day. Sometimes when you have, Danny, the TO type guy that whines and starts throwing helmets, and Michael Irvin, when he doesn't get the ball thrown to him, those guys are great for a defensive coach because the quarterback and the coach is going to try to jam it in there to him. But then you just emphasize that player a little more. But in terms of what Wink is going to do, you look at what you did last year, Denny, but you got to, some of it you just repeat. And some of it you scrap, and but you gotta be, you can't throw the same damn thing, the same pitch to 50 and like you did every time,
Yeah, I hear that. They held Jeremiah Smith to 33 yards. He had a big time offensive pass interference that wasn't called that easily could have been. Ibuka, who has done a hell of a job for the Bucs this year, only had 50 yards. They held him to under 100 rushing. Yeah, if they do that, if their top 2 wide receivers, get blanketed and held down like last year, and Michigan keeps OSU to under 100 yards, I'm going to like their chances to win. So yeah, from that standpoint, yeah, but let's see that one again.
Yeah, this team is harder to defend though, from the quarterback because he can run.
Yep.
I'd rather go against Strode any day of the week than this kid. I'd rather go against the guy they had last year because he'll throw one to you. He's not as accurate as this kid. CJ Barrett can't throw like this kid. Cardell, whatever the hell his name, can't throw nothing like this kid. This kid is an accurate passer. He's a very accurate passer, and he's athletic enough to be a problem when he steps up in the pocket. The one thing they haven't done with him much, and again, everything is kind of thrown out the window for this team, is they don't keep him much on the RPO keep. The quarterback keep stuff, Denny?
Yeah.
Because he's so valuable to their team. That's probably why they don't do it. They don't want to have him get hit. But this game, you got to throw out some of those tendencies if you're defending them.
Interesting. Maybe they'll be thinking they want to save him for their playoff run so they won't run.
That's something that, yeah, absolutely right. They don't want to have him take a shot because they're in the playoff either way.
Right, where Michigan's fighting for their playoff life. Well, it's film time. We've got, as Scar mentioned it at the beginning, this is a great week of sports. Michigan basketball, look at what the women's team is doing, hockey team's rolling. That's just with Michigan. And, you got the Lions coming up after their thrilling game. How about that kick? How about that kick for Bates for 59 yards? It looked like it was going to miss for sure and went back. And, that was one of the great kicks you'll ever see. You get to see them on Thursday. It just keeps going and going and going until Saturday. This is a great time to join up. You want to hear Michigan, Ohio State talk all time. all the time, 24/7, and day and night. Join up with the Maize and Blue Review. That's what's going on. Go to on3.com/rivals, double click it, hit it, and we'll see you over there. Instant access, instant entrance. You get in there and you'll be ready to go. And we look forward to, seeing you over there. All right. Well, we do want to thank our boys at Quick Cut. They do a great job. You want to get into telestrating, go to Quick Cut Video and Analytics, your place to store, share, and analyze game film like Jim Scarcelli. And thanks to Quick Cut or the video and analytics as we get into it with this game. And we're ready to do that. That's for sure.
All right, Dan, you got the film up?
Yeah, I sure do.
Look at all the maize and blue up here, man. That's just, that's great. Michigan, it's a factor. It matters. A lot of fans there. Great stuff, man. So the Terps take it right down and score on us. I don't like our adjustment here. This is the very first play of the game, and this game is all about adjustments. And we got to have some stuff for the Buckeyes, man. We're not lined up real good here. I don't like it. And then I'm going to let it run, and we let the ball outside the defense. They just got too much here, too many players. This player lets the ball outside the defense. Can't have that. That's just simple stuff. It doesn't take talent. You got to keep the ball inside. Then we jump off sides, just like you talked about. There's Sullivan. It's early in the game, man. It's the second play of the game. You got to get the cadence, get a feel for the cadence of the players, of the quarterback. Then you can start to anticipate things. You got to defend the flanks, Denny, in warfare. You always hear me say you got to be good out here. I don't know how many times we're going to lose contain, but you got to defend the flanks in football and warfare. They run this trick play, and we get Brant. Brant loses contain up here. He lost contain twice in that game.
Scar, I got to stop.
A lot of good things on defense, but we just can't.
I was going to say, you talk about warfare. I was watching. I was watching the Bronx Tale the other night, and you ever see that movie, Scar?
Oh yeah.
The Bronx Tale. You did? Well, you got Sonny from A Bronx Tale. You and Sonny are both big Machiavelli fans. That's what it reminded me. I was so,
That's right. It's better to be feared than loved, baby. If you're leading, I know that as a coach. Anyway, first and goal. Again, we lose contain here, I think. And this player here does a good job covering his butt. This is Hillman. But again, Brant is losing contain, and Hillman covers his butt. You got to know how fast the quarterback is. They're running a option away. We defend it, and now Brant lets him get outside, but Hillman covers him and does a great job. Here's an onside kick. We don't have a good view, but this is a hell of a play by our guy here, man. I mean, you got 10 dudes right here trying to knock his head off. I mean, that would have been momentum for them. So that's good job by JB, our special team coach. And what's the player's name, Denny, that made the play? Taylor?
Yeah, Joe Taylor, the ace.
Who recovered the ball?
Joe Taylor.
Okay, I just talked about Denny. I just talked about Maryland getting lined up, having a formation, and we were jacked up. I mean, I like our advantage here. We've got a formation, and there's not. This is a good. We got to have this against the Buckeyes. Let's get some formations and some things that give us an advantage. And then we're just mulching dudes. That's an advantage. They don't adjust well. I like this. This is executed We execute it. We block this. And this is Kudzil in here. He's making guys miss. But Denny, you're going to see a common theme here, because Bryce has been carrying out fakes, and we're running naked boots off a lot of stuff with him. But you're going to see backside defense really having to sit tight and honor Bryce Underwood, because we've been doing some things with him that Chip has been doing to slow down the backside defense. And I love it, and I'm seeing it. But we're mulching dudes up here. Frazier's getting better. You know, and number 9 out there. The kid's making a name for himself blocking. What the hell's his name? 9 Goodwin, right?
Yes, sir. Channing Goodwin.
So anyway, I like Bryce carrying out fakes, and it slows down the backside defense.
He's gotten better at that. He wasn't doing it earlier in the year as well.
Danny, our guy is capable of outplaying. We got a 5-star top quarterback in the country, and they got the same thing. And our guy has to outplay him. Bryce has to outplay him, and he's capable. He's capable. He's athletic, and he's just got to do it, man. He's done really good things in this football game. There's the athletic ability. Find the little dump down pass. You know, that stuff is huge. First down. Athletic ability, man. We block that and execute that real well. Again, you see every time Bryce. Okay, now Danny, here's 2nd and 4. We got 6 offensive linemen in the game. We ran quite a bit of this Saturday. We've got big. I think it's Norton, right? 70.
Yep.
And we run a little thing here. We pull Frazier. He's an athletic kid, man, and we this is nice. He is an athletic kid. Frazier. He may start at guard next year if Link and Babalua are that good. Don't. In fact, I'm going to make that prediction right now. I bet you he starts at guard to replace El Hadi.
I like it.
This is good stuff. Bryce reading it, our tight end reading it. They're in like a quarter coverage, and our tight end recognizes it. Bryce recognizes it. It's 2nd and 9. What's the weakness of the defense? You got to be smart. You know, Hayden Fry used to have his tight end stand up. Danny, you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you know why he did that? So they could read coverage and feel things, even when they were blocking you. I mean, it really hurt him, I think, as a blocker. But Bryce reads it, throws a nice pass. Tight end finds the weakness of the defense. That's Big Marshall. Yeah. So here we are throwing it to Klein. We're throwing it to Marshall. It's good stuff. We'll throw it to Tonelli. And here's again 6 offensive linemen. We got Norton in the game, and we're just ripping them. This is a weak adjustment by them. We know where we're running it. We got big 42 in here. This is big Hoffman. So We're just ripping them down in there and running power. You know, that play's been around Michigan for 50 years. That's under center, Danny. I like this stuff from Chip. Look at this. This is hard to defend, man. It's a double screen, Danny, and we execute it well. But look at the snap of the ball. On the snap of the ball, you don't know if we're running screen to our left, because you got a back flaring out here. You don't know if we're running screen to our left or to our right. And you see linemen pulling. You got linemen pulling this way, and you got linemen pulling this way. So these guys in the middle of the field, they don't know which way to pursue quite yet. And Bryce sells it pretty good, and we execute it. We run it to our right. And this team is just, they don't tackle. They just, whatever. Ohio State's going to be in better position than these guys were. But I like the scheme there. That's what I mean by scheme. and do things to help your offense. That was good stuff. Double screen really spreads the defense. This is how we beat them 4 times in a row. One of the biggest things on defense, and this is not good. This is not what I want to see Saturday. We got to tackle them right there. We can't let them do that. We got to tackle in space, man. Again, he went through 2 guys right there. I don't know what the hell we're doing here. We let this, he's got to take an inside attitude. We're in man. This safety has to take an inside attitude on that tight end. And I got a big question mark. What is it, 3rd and 9? We run into guys here, Danny. Look at this blitz. Watch this blitz. It's not coordinated. See, look at how we run in. These guys are all smashed up. Look at this. They're running into each other. You see that?
Yeah.
That's not a coordinated blitz. You can't have it. Moving along. He overthrows that one. I don't know that Ohio State's guy will.
Right.
We're jacked up here. We get saved by Barham, but they're an empty. They're an empty. It's 3rd and 4. And we've got some type of a matchup zone deal going on, and we get saved by the quarterback. Doesn't really, he doesn't see it, but Barham sacks him, but we're jacked up here at the top. You'll see Rolder. He doesn't recognize. We don't communicate it. See the player, the guy's wide open over there.
Yeah. What Butt said that they put Rolder. They put the guy. They put. Go ahead.
That's what great defense. Said what?
Butt said that.
Go ahead, Danny.
Butt said that he thought Washington thought that they were in man coverage because they put a man in motion, but then they were in a zone, and so Washington was confused.
Well, maybe, but if he would have looked to his, I think he looks to his right first. He's looking over here. If he would have looked over here just a second longer, see, Rolder's screwed up. Watch Rolder here. Rolder and this player is doing the right things. He's playing inside control, just like this guy's playing inside control on 3 in that zone. But Rolder bites up for a second. You see this?
Yep.
That ain't right. The guy goes right by him. You see him sitting there in the end zone?
Yeah, that would have been a touchdown.
That would have been a touchdown. But Barham gets there. So we had poor communication up there on how, whatever the hell we were doing. But Barham saves the day. And that's how it goes on defense sometimes. Sometimes the coach has a terrible scheme and the players save you, or one player's beat and there's a sack. And, I like 77, 9 and 42 here. This is 1st and 10. This Goodwin kid will block. 42 will block. Let's see what happened here. Oh, he does a good job. Frazier does a good job reading when guys crosses. See, Denny, he's blocking down, but you don't know if this guy's going to cross because he's lined up outside of him. And at the last second, he slants across his face. And it's not easy to pick that up for an offensive lineman all the time. And Frazier does a good job of picking that up, that slant edge player. Watch him pick him up as he slants inside. See how, and then now Frazier pins him in. And now we're getting outside the defense. So I like both Frazier there, and anyway, he does a good job reading slant tackles, pinning guys in, and we got him in conflict here. 19 with his feet, 1st and 10. Chip likes to do a lot of motioning to quads, four eligibles over here, because you got 3 and then 2. He likes to motion to that. But let's take a look at this. Okay, so Danny, this is why when you have a quarterback that can run and you're willing to run them, everybody on this defense is looking at this mesh point. This guy is. They're all looking at the mesh point. Is he going to hand the ball off? Is the quarterback going to pull it? They're all reading it because it all affects everything they're doing. Other than the defensive line, these other 7 dudes are reading the mesh point. Okay, so he pulls it out. guess what, though? Now, because Bryce can run, and he's shown this on film, this guy is in no man's land. This dude right here, he can't bite up here because Bryce will dump it there. He's kind of just hanging. I bet you that's how they coach it, to kind of split the difference. And Bryce is just kind of working out here, and then he's got this kid in no man's land. So just like an old school option, and it's an easy pickup, but it's good stuff by Chip, and we execute it. So I like that. I like stuff that helps our players, makes it easy for our players. That's an easy dump down there, check down. Offline, stay connected. Offensive line is staying connected. Denny, when the quarterback steps up in the pocket, the offensive lineman can feel when the defensive linemen are trying to come off. They go when a defensive lineman goes from pass rush to now trying to throw the offensive lineman one way or another. The smart offensive linemen feel that, and they'll try to stay connected so the guy can't come off on the quarterback when he steps up in the pocket. So I think our offensive line does a pretty good job of that. It's pass, pass, pass. Now they feel defensive linemen come off, and Bryce he's got to do a great job of that Saturday, man.
See anything in the mist there?
Just got to get his head right, man.
Yeah.
Got to get his head right. Sharon did the right thing. I like how he threw him in there and kicked that kick at the end of the game,
I like
that's
that too.
That's how I would have done the same thing. So anyway, this gets back to the same thing I talked about. The ball's in the mesh point, but Bryce he's shown that he'll naked boot out here and hit a drag or something. So these two dudes are honoring that. It's slowing down all this backside defense, and we're hammering dudes. Look at Frazier and El Hadi there, just mulching dudes. Man, if we can do this against the Buckeyes. But, their defense is going to be a little better than these guys. Anyway, I want 19. Look, everybody's talking last week, right? 19 is this, that, whatever. He's got to stay confident, man. He's got to stay in that bunker and just talk to his teammates and his coaches and piss on everybody else. But I like how we're throwing it to all the tight ends. They're all a threat. 17's a threat. 42's a threat. 83 is a threat. Missed a nice pass over the linebackers. Good stuff.
Layered that one in there.
Yeah. Maryland ain't the smartest, but they're weak. I thought some of those guys they don't even want to play, but Granero does a good job here. Danny, he's got a guy laying up inside of him. Just like I talked about Frazier a minute ago. This guy's inside of him. He's between the center and the guard. And on the snap of the ball, we're running zone here. But on the snap of the ball, he slants out. And Granero picks it up. He reads it. He blocks it. And I think that was the toughest block of all those players there. And but it's well executed. A lot of guys did a good job. And again, we made a lot of it. Credit goes to our coaches is seeing that scheme. Denny, just like I talk about the mesh point. This is a blitz. Okay, this is a blitz. He's coming. This is Sullivan. He's coming. He's blitzing. But he's got to read the mesh point. He just can't tackle air. He's got to slow down. He's coming. Watch him here. Okay, the ball's in his gut. Okay, what are you going to tackle right now if you're a player? You have to wait. You have to wait. You can't just tackle this dude. Or, if you get the best scenario would be to get there right now and smash all of them. You know what I mean? That would be the best scenario. But he's not there. He's 3 yards from there. So he ends up tackling air, and the quarterback steps up in the pocket. So he has to read the mesh point just like every other player. You know what I mean? Am I teaching you something?
Yeah, well, so he should have hit the brakes there because he knew that he couldn't get there.
Hit the brakes. Yeah, that's what he should have did. Hit the brakes, just slow down and let the quarterback determine what he's going to do. Denny, I know we had Grant and Graham last year. What's the down and distance here? 3rd and goal. And everybody's saying, I don't know. let me tell you what, this kid has done some good things. And this is this Pearson here or Benny? I'm not sure. But anyway, I really like Williams here. Watch what Williams does to this guard. And we get a sack here. He's just stuffing two dudes. You see him there?
Yeah, he's that was going home. He's from the DMV area, so he'll like that on film.
I guess my point is, though the four inside guys we have, they're capable of giving us that same kind of performance. I got Bryce under center. It's first and goal. Under center, good stuff. There's things that put the defense in conflict. I don't like this, though. I talk about the mesh point, right, Denny?
Yeah.
This makes it easy for the defense when you do this bullshit fake out here. Put the ball in his gut. You know, this dude should be running closer to him. Right through there. This, I can see it's a BS fake.
But he shouldn't have the ball way. He shouldn't have it presented way out there. He should have it closer.
I don't. I think it's more deceptive if you put the ball into the gut of that guy who's going in motion. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
When I saw this formation, quarterback under center, Johnny Wangler under center, double tight with a third tight end as a wing. This is Michigan football, 1975, man, 1985, 1995.
Russell Davis deep, Huckabee close. I mean,
that's right. You were calling it out, man. That's exactly what this is. We got a 6 offensive linemen in the game, though. We got 70 in the game, and we're just ripping them. And he's got 42 here as a fullback, and we're just running old school power, gap, block down, kick out. This is exactly how we ran it 30, 40 years ago.
Leach fakes it to Russell, gives it to Huckabee, and then I wish I had the scoring horn.
Denny, I just say it's time to cut 19.
Go ahead.
It's time to cut 19 loose, baby. We did last week. Let's let them run. Like here, look at here. It's only 5 yards, but it has a residual effect because they have to honor it. They got to honor it. Danny, there's dudes that are in the game here. They deserve to play, and it also keeps your other guys healthy. We're up 45-13. Let some of these guys play. So I know your people are pissed off. But when I was coaching, I didn't give a damn. I got Odin in the game. This is Odin right here, freshman. This kid has probably been a great attitude kid, Metcalf's brother, and done a great job. So if you get those kids in the game, I know people might be upset that they scored, but I never gave a damn about that. Them guys got to play. You got O'Meara in the game. Ty Haywood is in the game. I was checking him out. 79, big kid.
He is big.
He does a good job here. He does a good job blocking that slant tackle there. And O'Meara gets in the game. Ain't been a game all year. Right away, he comes up with the double pit. What is that, Danny?
I don't know what that is.
I don't know,
but
man.
I like it.
I don't know why the hell Crippen's in the game, Danny. Crippen's in the game the whole game. I don't understand that. I do not understand that as a coach. Who the hell's your backup center? Put him in the game.
Garnier.
Who's the backup center?
Garnier, I think.
Well, put the other guy in the game.
Yeah, you got to have another backup, right? There you go. Sharon's he's already thinking OSU, I think there.
Yeah, Denny, I don't know if you got any time. If you want to look at
5 minutes. Let's go 5 minutes.
Couple minutes of Ohio State.
Five good minutes.
We'll look at Ohio State for a couple minutes. Okay. Yeah, this is this is the stuff I'm hoping for. They run the same stuff, but I don't know that they don't have him keep the football, and that makes it a hell of a lot easier to defend. And this is something I think Jim Knowles knew at Penn State. Jim Knowles he saw something here, and he's killing this thing from the backside. That's the stuff Wink has to figure out. What are they doing? He just brings this kid off the edge and he kills that dive because maybe they don't think this guy is going to keep it. And Jim Knowles knows Ryan Day don't want to have his quarterback get hit. You know what I mean? So anyway, there's little things that you see as a coach that hopefully Wink will have give our players an edge. Empty to ISO. They go from empty formation, and then they shift and they run an ISO. Now they're looking at how you're lined up against empty and how are we going to adjust. And I don't know that Penn State adjusted well. Empty is one formation and one adjustment, and I don't see Penn State really doing much. And they rip them in there with a little isolation play. And let me see how this. They got an advantage. They got an advantage by the adjustment. And you have to look at this as a coach and as a player. This tight alignment here, Denny. This is the things you're looking at as a player. This tight end is tight to this kid. A lot of times he's normally out here. That tight alignment, he can get there to that linebacker easy. So you have to see all that as players. Anyway, they don't. Penn State lets the ball. He should be. Anyway, it's wrong. We got to adjust. You got to all those little things. Ryan Day does a lot of little formations, man. He runs a lot of different stuff. They're not vanilla at all. And now here they shift to empty. It's 3rd and 5. They go from here, and then they shift to empty. But this kid, this super freak, makes this kid. I mean, this guy will throw. Again, I said this is the best play. I think this is the best quarterback they've had in 20 years. That's what I believe because he's so damn accurate. And this is 3rd and 5, and he's throwing the ball to number 4 there. Here's a 4 and 1. Again, a lot of different stuff. Danny, a lot of people do this. What they'll do is they'll put, here's 4 dudes over here, 4 eligible receivers, and then you put your best receiver here, and you make them defend all that field out there. Okay, you see all that field out there with this dude out. How'd you like to be that guy? You know what I mean?
Let's go.
So they put you in a bind. Okay, are you going to defend these 4 guys, with 3.5? I used to play like put a half guy, anyway, I would do something to help this player. And that's what they do. They're trying to put their best receiver here. Are you going to defend the 4 guys? And Winkle hopefully have something for him. That's just too easy right there, though. They shift to 4 guys there. So there's a lot of thinking going on, a lot of shifting, a lot of thinking, a lot of formations, a lot of stuff, man. And the team that makes the fewest mental mistakes, Denny, that's another thing that I don't have on my list, but, who's going to make the least amount of mental mistakes? Here's power I. They go from a power I set. I would used to call, this is you got 2 big tight ends here. And how you line it up here in this formation, and then they shift. Now, how you line it up here? Okay, I call this, teams like to run double ISO here. They lead him there. They lead him there. And, which line? Anyway, that's one thing that people like to run out of that formation. I used to call this turkey bone. Because you remember the old wishbone, Denny, where this player is here?
The inverted wishbone. Yeah, I see the turkey bone. I see it.
Yeah, Danny, when you're coaching and you see a formation that you don't run, you have to give it a name so your defensive players know. Anyway, they're running power here, and we just have to defend that. We got to adjust, and see they shift here, so that changes everything. And what are they running? They're blocking down and they're running power. Again, here's 4 dudes over here. Here's 4 dudes here. How you lining up there? Now here's in the sideline, there's not much room. So it changes your adjustment because it's not as tough to defend this kid in the sideline. You follow me?
Yep.
It's not as difficult. But now you got 4 guys here with a lot of field, so they're shifting out there, and they're just running a tight end drag. But I don't know how much more you want to see, Denny. We can.
That's pretty good.
Anyway,
Scar,
they do a lot of shifting. Yeah, one more play, and then we're good.
All right.
All right, what's this? Empty. See, look at all the stuff they make you think. Look at all the stuff how they make you think. So they come out empty. So this is one adjustment. I'll tell you what scares me out of empty, though, is this kid running. Stepping up and running in the pocket. I have to be really concerned with that. Anyway, they come out empty and now they shift. So what the hell is this now? Now you got to adjust to this. 3 backs in the backfield. What can they run from that? Has Penn State seen that? So there's a lot of this game. There's a lot of things that the defenses haven't seen. And now they motion out to 4 guys and they just simply run an inside run. So it's all that junk, all that stuff, Danny, all that moving around. And all it is to just try to get one guy out misaligned. You come out with empty, and then you shift to this, and then you shift to that. And you just want to get that one player misaligned. You know what I mean? And if the one linebacker is confused or the one edge player is confused, then you can get a big play. But you got to be the smarter team. So I think Wink has to, that's a big part of defense. You got to make your adjustments easy.
I love it. All that eye candy's great until somebody.
But then it matters. All that people, I hear these guys talk about eye candy like it doesn't freaking matter. You have to adjust to every single thing they do. Okay, if they put a dude in motion, it isn't like it's irrelevant. They could throw the ball to that guy, and that formation is now changed, and you have to honor it. You got it?
Yeah.
And so I hear these guys on TV talk about eye candy like it's irrelevant. Everything matters because you have to adjust to all that formation changes and all the motions and stuff. So, and that's I learned as a defensive coach, the key is to make the difficult stuff for the coach, not the player. Make it simple for the players. Make your adjustments simple for your players. Make the difficult stuff for you as a coach so they don't have to think as much. And Wink, we look at that Texas game last year. We had a lot of guys confused. I think that game may have changed him in the way he coached at Michigan. You know what I mean? I think ever since that game, USC was mistakes, and it wasn't so much. But ever since that game with Texas, I think there was a lot of mental mistakes there, and I think he's made things simpler for you. Don't have 40 hours to work with a college kid throughout the week to prepare for a game. You know what I mean? A pro is in there all day. They're in there 8 o'clock in the morning. These kids got to go to school. But yeah, Danny, I'm really confident, man, that we're going to win this football game, man. I just what the hell's changed? Ain't nothing changed. We're a better team than we were last year. Offensively, we're just as good as we were on defense. Everybody's capable. Are those inside? The only question is are those 2 inside guys as good as Grant and Graham? They're gonna play like it. Maybe they haven't all year, but they're capable of it. You saw Williams is capable.
They've had a good run defense. Statistically, they have a good run defense. There you go. Well, Scar, thanks for kicking off the week the right way. I wish it was Saturday, but we'll just take each day. I mean, we'll have Thanksgiving and everything. So, and then Saturday will be here before we know it. Great job today.
Yeah, Denny, I have a memory of Bo on Monday. He would point right at you. Mallory, you got to be better than Spielman. And he went right around the room. He knew every player that they had at your position. Harbaugh, You got to be better than Tom Zach. He went right around the room with all 22 guys.
Let me give it a shot. Underwood, better than saying.
There you go. All right, Denny, it's all good. Go blue, baby.
There he is. Scar.